God as the Creator, first and second creation story. The Bible tells us that God is the Creator of all things. There are two creation stories in the Bible, one in Genesis 1-1-31 and one in Genesis 2-4-25. The first creation story is more poetic and grand in scope, while the second creation story is more detailed and focused on the creation of humanity. Both creation stories teach us that God is the Creator of all things and that we are created in His image. The first creation story. In the first creation story, God creates the world in 6 days. On the first day, God creates light and darkness. On the second day, God creates the sky and the sea. On the third day, God creates the land and the plants. On the fourth day, God creates the sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth day, God creates the fish and the birds. On the sixth day, God creates the animals and humans. On the seventh day, God rests. The second creation story. In the second creation story, God creates the world in a more detailed way. The story begins with God creating a garden in Eden. God then creates Adam, the first man, from the dust of the ground. God then creates Eve, the first woman, from Adam's rib. God places Adam and Eve in the garden and tells them to care for it. God also tells Adam and Eve that they can eat from any tree in the garden, except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The significance of the creation stories. The creation stories are foundational to the Christian faith. They tell us about God's love for creation and His plan for humanity. The creation stories also give us a foundation for understanding our place in the world and our relationship with God. Conclusion. The creation stories are a beautiful and powerful way to understand God, His love for us, and His plan for our lives. They remind us that we are created in His image and that we are meant to care for His creation. On the first day, God created light and darkness. On the second day, God created the sky. On the third day, God created earth, seas, vegetation, and ocean. On the fourth day, God created the heavenly bodies. On the fifth day, God created birds and sea creatures. On the sixth day, God created animals and human beings. On the seventh day, God rested and made it a special day of worship.